And we are underway with the PR1 women's single. This is the first race, 2 hours of racing we have this morning. PR, that is formerly known as arms and shoulders. And it is classified as a physical impairment. And this sport class is for athletes who row predominantly with their arms and shoulders. Athletes using strapping around their midsection to provide support and stability in the boat. That change came in a year or two ago, but the big change is that this year these athletes are racing 2,000 meters. So that's pretty cool. It's reminiscent of when women only raced 1,000 meters and women couldn't do this or that, and the same apparently was felt for the adaptive athletes, but like, no, going 2,000, which is awesome. So in this event, we have Haley Smith, who is closest to us, and Taylor Roberts, who is in the white boat. Haley is a Smith grad and rode last year at the World Championships, placing sixth in this event down in Sarasota. In the white boat, Taylor Roberts. She has competed on many uh, national and international races, including the national team. So there's a lot of experience between these two. She's also raced at the indoor World Rowing Championships and the head of the Charles. So we're about 500 meters in, and Haley Smith is well out in front here with a couple boat lengths of open water as we pass the 500. There it is. And you can see the design of the boat. So Haley Smith doing a great job here. And we are going to go up to the finish tower. We're on 10-minute centers, and we want the camera boat to get back into position for the next race. So Haley Smith, rowing for MedStar Paralympic, out in front. And they're going 2,000 meters this year. And they will do that at the World Championships also, which is pretty neat. Taylor Roberts to the right. I'm sorry, to the left in the white boat. And these boats are a little bit different than a standard single, a little bit wider, and they have the pontoons for safety. So a lot of experience between these two athletes, having raced at World Championships and indoor World Championships, head of the Charles, lots of national team trials. It's nice to see athletes coming back year after year, gaining more experience, hopefully gaining more speed. And they are into the last 500 meters of this course. Haley Smith increasing her lead through that third 500. Absolutely beautiful morning for rowing here at Mercer County Park. PNRA's facility, just fantastic. First couple days of the trials were very warm. This morning on the way here, the thermometer in the car said 55 degrees. So people are actually wearing long pants and long sleeves. It's just perfect morning for this set of trials. 250 meters to go for Haley Smith. And she's just moving smoothly and nicely all the way down the course. Taking the rating up now. About 150 meters to go to the line. across the line for Haley Smith. And Taylor Roberts. And Taylor Roberts across the line. 2,000 meters. And up on the course now is Blake Haxton, competing in the PR1 men's single. He's the only entrant. And if the name is familiar, it's because he's been around for a while. He's an Ohio State grad with a law degree. He's competed internationally in para events many times. And last year down in Sarasota, he was 6th. In 2016, in Rio, he was 4th. So a lot of experience. You can see he's still got the World Championship sticker on his boat. Now he is the only competitor in this event, but per the U.S. rowing rules, he still has to go down the course. And we've seen that with a couple events at this trials where there's only one entrant, but they still have to go from A to B, 2,000 meters. So passing the 1,000-meter mark, Blake Haxton, and we are going to go to the finish tower camera. Blake Haxton about 600 meters from the finish line. He and all the other adaptive athletes for the first time going 2,000 meters. So about 500 meters to go. The buoys go from yellow to red, signifying the last 250 meters of the course. Here you can get a good view of the boat. A little bit wider, pontoons, and the apparatus for holding the trunk. And just a couple more strokes to the line for Blake. All right, and he's on his way to the World Championships. We'll be watching. And already underway is the PR2, a mixed double. And PR2 is a sport class for rowers who have trunk and arm movement who are unable to use their legs to propel the sliding seat. So there's a lot more upper body movement, and this is formerly known as TA, is now PR2. And this is Laura Goodkind and Ron Harvey. And if Ron Harvey's name is familiar, it's because he's been competing in para rowing since 2004. Finished fifth at the 2008 Paralympic Games in Beijing, and I'm sorry, fifth in 2008, and eighth in 2012 in London. His doubles partner, Laura Goodkind, went to Whittier College and has raced internationally in the para category for the last couple years. In 2016, she and her partner finished 10th in the mixed doubles at the Paralympic Games. Last year, they placed 5th down in Sarasota at the World Championships. So again, another boat with a lot of experience. And they are doing a great job just coming down the course. Again, as the single competitor in this event, they still have to go down the course per the U.S. rowing rules. We've seen a couple events like that through the course of the trials. So they are here going the full 2,000 meters today. Just passing the 1,000-meter mark, we're going to go to the camera on the top of the finish tower and bring this boat all the way in as the camera boat heads back up in preparation for the next race. Over the past handful of years, it's been interesting to watch adaptive rowing become fully integrated into not only the World Championship program, but certainly into boathouses around the country. My local boathouse is reasonably close to a VA hospital and has a robust veterans program, a wounded warriors program. People down there rowing through the summer, learning to rowing, being out on the water, and the volunteer support at the boathouse is fantastic. And these programs are becoming more numerous around the country. As I mentioned earlier, they used to race 1,000 meters, and this year's the first race, or first year they're racing 2,000, which I think signifies that they are fully integrated into the whole program. No longer seen as other. They are members of the team, racing the same distance, doing the whole deal. $250 to go for Ms. Goodkind and Mr. Harvey. So the PR mixed double coming to the line, and congratulations. And we'll be watching your progress at the World Championships. Good luck there. All right. And we are going to turn our attention back up the course, where the women's double has just started. In lane one, closest to the camera boat, is Lonchart and Fellows, SoCal Scullers Composite. In the middle, in the yellow boat and white tops, Tomac and O'Leary rowing for New York AC. And on the outside, Kisting and Davison rowing for Aeron. And out to an early lead, it is Ellen Tomac and Megan O'Leary. For those of you who follow rowing, that would not be too much of a surprise. Together, the two of them placed second in this event at the World Championships last year down in Sarasota. And that was pretty cool. It was very special. And they made the final and placed sixth in the double sculls at the 2016 Olympic Games. So there's a lot of experience in this boat. not only the two of them together, but they have both been on the international scene for quite some time. And picking up a medal last year, from everything I read, was pretty special. Lanes 1 and 3, Julia Lonchar and Maggie Fellows, and then Meredith Kissling and Savannah Davison. They look to be running pretty close to even as we're getting close to the 1,000-meter mark. But they are 3-4 boats of open water behind our leaders of Tomac and O'Leary. Coming to the 1,000-meter mark, a little bit of a dead spot for the camera. They're doing a nice job out front. Again, the two trailing boats going neck and neck. But this is trials, so there's no consolation prize, there's no second place medal. It's all about the winning boat. And that winning boat is gaining more and more distance between the trailing pair with every stroke. And we are going to send it to the finish tower. Lane 1, which is on the right-hand side, is Loncher and Fellows, Tomac and O'Leary in the middle, and Kistine and Davison on the left. Absolutely fantastic conditions, as you can see. Just slight ripple on the water, but it's very calm out there. The temperature is fantastic, maybe even a little cool, but I don't think anybody is complaining. 250 meters to go for Ellen Tomac and Megan O'Leary. Into the red buoys. Putting a solid push on here. To say they looked really good, I guess would be to state the obvious, but they look really good. Racing to the line with less than 10 strokes to go, about 5 strokes to go. Tomac and O'Leary across the line. Lawn Chair and Fellows, Kisting, and Davison. This morning we are on 10-minute centers, so we actually have a couple more minutes before the start of the next race. And the next race is the men's double final, and that'll be coming up at 7:40. Men's double, lanes 2 and 3 out in front. Lane 3, that is Ben Davison and John Graves. The most experienced double out here, but right next to them, Keen and Frid also have a lot of experience. Between these two doubles, there's a lot of international experience. Justin Keen, Penn State grad, recently raced at the World Cup in the quad alongside Eric Frid. And they've both raced together internationally and nationally before. Ben Davison and John Graves, very experienced double. Davison, a grad of the UW in Seattle. He placed third in the Cox Fort U23 Worlds last year. And he won in the double sculls in this last year at the Senior and Para World Championship Trials. Graves uh, won the World Championship Trials in the doubles last year. So a lot of experience here, and they're putting it to good use as they are out in front. But not by a whole bunch. Little bit of open water there. But they're about 800 meters into this race, so there's still a lot of race course left. That's Bellows and Veer on the outside in lane 4. And then lane 1, Shirley and Garay rowing for Penn AC. Bellows and Veer both come from club programs, and it's great that they're out here doing it. This is where the fight is right now. Davison and Graves have, is that a deck of open water, maybe a bit more, maybe half a boat. Slowly eking out a little bit more. But it's been this margin for the past while. But they are getting very close to the 500 meter mark. So if Keen and Frid want to go, they got to go now. So from the finish tower, in the white in the middle, that is Davison and Graves. And right off to their right-hand side is Keen and Frid, Shirley and Garay on the outside. To the right and to the far left is Bellows and Veer. From here, it appears that Davison and Graves are still out in front. Hard to tell the margin, but it looks like it's tightening up here. Keen and Frid really turning this into a race, being down open water through the middle part of the race, through the middle 1,000 essentially, are now starting to come back. They're not on even terms yet, but they're getting really, really close. Davison and Graves taking the rating up, trying to maintain their margin. Keen and Frid running out of real estate here. We have less than 100 meters to go. They cut into the lead, but it's still about a boat length as they get to the line. It is Graves and Davison, Keen and Frid. Bellows and Veer. Shirley and Garay. Referee checking on the athletes, make sure everybody's okay. Appears everybody's okay. White flag to the finish tower. Race is official. U23 women's single final. Lane 1, closest to the camera boat, is Kendall Sanowski. Lane 2, in the red top and the yellow boat, is Emily Kaufels. Lane 3, a little further to the left, also in a red top but with a stripe down it, diagonal stripe, is Elizabeth Sherris. And on the outside, rowing for Craftsbury, is Rihanna Mulligan. Now, I have to admit, I've been waiting for this race a little bit, because if you've been following junior rowing, this is kind of a race of titans here between Emily Kaufels and Elizabeth Sherris. Emily is a Princeton athlete, won the single sculls at the 2017 U23 trials, won the double sculls at the 2016 junior and U23 and senior trials, and has a lot of other accomplishments. Elizabeth Sherris finished fourth in the double sculls last year at the Junior Worlds, so she's a little bit younger, but she also holds 5 indoor world records in various 13 to 18 categories at 500 meters, 1,000, 5,000, 6,000, and 30 minutes. And she will be attending Stanford next year, and I'm sure will be quite a fantastic addition to that rowing program. So these two, as you might imagine, did very well in their preliminary races. And right now, it is the older, a little more experienced Emily Kaufels who is moving away at about 750 meters into this race. Elizabeth Sherris, not quite able to match the speed. And that's Rhiannon Mulligan. And Kendall Sanowski. Halfway through the race, Elizabeth Sherris with a handful of boat lengths of open water between she and her next competitor. And Emily Kaufels with a couple boat lengths of open water between she and Elizabeth Sherris. Emily doing a nice job out with that classical push with the legs, swing of the upper body. It's very nice, obviously working very well for her. And over to the finish tower. Our leader on the right-hand side, Elizabeth Sherris, also in red, but with the diagonal stripe. Taking advantage of these absolutely perfect conditions. A very nice, cool morning. A little unusual for central New Jersey in July, but nobody is complaining. Emily Cafals continues to open up her lead. It's about 1750 into this race, and she has a very comfortable margin. .250 meters to go for Emily Cafals in the U23 women's single final. She was dominant in the preliminary races, and you can see why, because she's dominant here also. It's very classic rowing style. Push, swing, finish with the arms. Serving her very well. Across the line. Congratulations. We'll be watching at the U23 Worlds. Elizabeth Sherris. Rhiannon Mulligan. And Kendall Sanowski. Next up is the U23 men's pair, and that starts in about 2 minutes. U23 men's pairs. Closest to the camera, Newton and Cohn from the Henderson Development Camp. Lane 2, Weeks and Robertson from Seattle Area Rowing. Lane 3 is Bridwell and Pratt from the Henderson Development Camp. And on the outside, the white tops and black boat, Chastain and Reed. And right now, it is Bridwell and Pratt. Bridwell and Pratt both row at Northeastern, as do Newton and Cohn over, you can see their bow number 1 right there. Everybody relatively close together. But it is lane 3, Bridwell and Pratt out front. Chastain and Reed and Weeks and Robertson right next to each other, are just, what, half a deck apart? But still a boat length down. Weeks was in the 8th that placed 4th at the U23 Worlds last year. And in the Peter Chastain and Jack Reed, Chastain placed 6th last summer in the Cox 4 at the Junior World Championships, and Reed rose at Trinity College. So there's some experience there, but they are not able to match the speed of Bridwell and Pratt. Getting close to the 1,000-meter mark, these two guys are starting to row away with it. And it looks like they have cracked open water on the field at the halfway point. Sitting very tall, letting the legs do the most of the work. Yeah, nice solid push. And if we have a look back to see where the rest of the competitors are, open water back, a little bit of open water there, and some overlap with the other Henderson Development Camp boat. But our leaders have open water on the field as we switch to the camera on top of the finish tower. Hard to tell if this is tightening up or not. Certainly lanes 1 and lane 2, Newton and Cohn out to the far right, and next to them Weeks and Robertson. Those two are neck and neck. But are they moving up on Bridwell and Pratt? Bridwell and Pratt have a little bit of steering issue, but they've got themselves sorted out. This really does look like it's turning into a 3-boat race now. Still give advantage to Bridwell and Pratt. But it seems in that third 500 they've tightened up the margins a bit as all 3 boats start to move into the last 250. Bridwell Pratt first into the red buoys, then Weeks Robertson, and then Newton Cone. So we have a little bit of an echelon here. But Bridwell Pratt not enjoying as much space as they had before. 150 meters to go. So do Weeks and Robertson, do they have a sprint? A half a boat's worth of sprint? I don't think so. It looks like it's going to be Bridwell and Pratt looking over where is that finish line. Congratulations. Weeks Robertson second. Newton Cone third. And Chatain and Reed fourth. Next race up is the U23 women's double. And that starts at 8:10, so in about 3 minutes. Underway, lane 1. Hagman and King. There we are. Lane 2. Johnson and Michalak. Lane 3, Merrick and Solms. And lane 4, Flynn and Bussey. Not quite to the 500-meter mark yet. And it looks like we have lanes 2, 3, and 4 very close. And lane 1 still in contact. Hagman and King still in contact almost. Yes. But the two middle boats, Johnson and Mechalak and American Psalms, starting to push away from the outside doubles at the 500-meter mark. This would appear to be the race we're going to watch most of the race course. Closest to us, Ashley Johnson and Sydney Mechalak. Johnson rose for Syracuse. And rowing for the U23 selection camp, the American Psalms. And Psalms is a Princeton rower, which is just around the corner from here. So open water. We have two races going on here, it seems. The two trailing boats are relatively close, within a half a deck. And our two lead boats are certainly tightening up their race as they get close to the 1,000-meter mark. The double from the selection camp, pulling even and maybe a little bit ahead. Rowing just a slightly higher beat. Than the double from Arion. Wow, this is the best race we've seen so far this entire regatta. The boat closest to us understroking the boat on the outside by just a little bit. Conventional wisdom would say that means they have a little more room to go up in a sprint, but that's hard to tell because we don't know what their max rate, their efficient max rate is. But they are understroking a little bit and have a seat, if that, over the double from the training camp or the selection camp. Look at this. Now the selection camp double coming back almost on even terms. We're getting close to the 500-meter mark. They are just going hammer and tongs. This is incredible. They've been doing this for the last 1,000 meters. Selection camp boat going up a little bit. Can the boat from Arion match them? It looks like they did match them and raised them a bit as they take their rating up, and now they're pulling even. All right, we're going to go to the finish tower camera. And from here, we'll see how this race plays out. Back and forth and back and forth. They're getting close to the last 250, and it is going to come down to a sprint. Who can sprint? Because their base speed is essentially identical. Well, rowing a little bit lower through the body of the course, Johnson and Mikulak prove they do have a sprint, and when they crank it up, off they go. 250 meters or 300 meters, they gained almost a boat length. As they come to the line, congratulations on a well-fought race. Up next is the women's lightweight single final. That's at 8:20, so that's in 2-3 minutes. And we'll get to that when our camera boat gets up into position. Well, Richard, even though you guys didn't make it very far back up the course, it was worth it. That last race was awesome. On the course now is the women's single. Sorry, women's lightweight single. And in this race, closest to the camera boat in lane 1, Margaret Bertassi. Lane 2, Hilary Sager. Lane 3, Michelle Sescher. Lane 4, Christine Cavallo. And because we followed the previous race down a ways, the camera boat didn't get back to where it normally does, and we will pick them up at about 750 meters into this race. On the outside, Christine Cavallo, lane 4, and lane 2, Hillary Sager. 750 meters in, and they are neck and neck. Michelle Sescher rowing for Vesper in 3rd place right now. And Margaret Bertassi in lane 1 in 4th place. And rowing on the outside, Christine Cavallo, as we get close to 1,000 meters, has opened up about a half a boat length on Hillary Sager. And that's just been a slow creep through that second 500 meters. As we get into the third 500, we start to see that Michelle Sescher is starting to move up on Hillary Sager. Hillary got out to a fast start. We'll see if she can maintain some speed here through the third 500. And whether Hillary and Michelle push each other to try and catch Christine, who now has broken open water possibly. Michelle Sescher moving back in, but still open water down on Christine as we go to the finish tower. Christine is on the left-hand side of the screen, closest to the finish tower. We have about 500 meters to go. When we left them, Michelle Sescher was moving up on Hillary Sager, still open water down on Christine Cavallo. It looks like things have tightened up a bit here. Looks like Michelle Sescher has rode through Hillary Sager into second place, but with 400, 350 meters to go, can Christine hang on? She's rowing at a higher rating than Michelle. But as Michelle starts to sprint, is she going to be able to row through Christine? And, oh, hard to say. Well, if Michelle's not ahead, they look to be even. Wow, Michelle Sescher using that experience in the third 500, really putting the hammer down, and is now leading this race with about 100 meters to the finish line. Michelle Sescher finished third of the lightweight double at the Worlds last year. Used that experience and all of her rowing experience and knowing what she can do to just move in that third 500 to finish to an open water victory. Congratulations. Next up is the men's lightweight single at 8:30, so in just a couple minutes. Men's lightweight single underway. Closest to the camera boat is Tyler Nace rowing for Vesper. Lane 2 is Andrew Campbell. Lane 3, Hugh McAdam. And lane 4, Jasper Liu. Lane 2, Andrew Campbell out in front. Lane 3 is Hugh McAdam. Lane 4 is Jasper Liu, and closest to the camera boat is Tyler Nace. But it is Andrew Campbell out in front. And it appears that he has open water on the rest of the field in the men's lightweight single. The trailing three crews neck and neck, and having a good race amongst themselves, but it is Andrew Campbell who is rowing away with this. Using that classic push swing. He rows so well that we use him in our coaching education materials. He is an example of that classic style. It's a solid drive with the legs, quiet upper body, swing into the bow, finish with the hands. And he's putting that to good use as he is now a couple boats of open water over the rest of the field. Tyler Nace closest to us. Hugh McAdam in lane 3, and then on the outside is Jasper Liu. Just past the 1,000. And Andrew Campbell seems to be opening up more distance between himself and his competitors. Absolutely perfect morning for rowing. Just the teeniest ripple on the lake, as you can see. It's cool. It's very nice. Perfect rowing conditions. And to the finish tower, Andrew Campbell in the upper right in lane 2. Even though he has a handful of open water boat lengths between himself and his next competitor, he has not let up on the stroke rate. Andrew graduated from Harvard in 2014 and won the lightweight double sculls at the Olympic Paralympic trials, and also won in the lightweight double sculls at 2015 national selection regattas. He's a very accomplished sculler. And if I remember correctly, he actually held the world record in the lightweight men's single for about 30 minutes. Taking it up as he gets close to the line. Now, 150 meters to the line. But nonetheless, using this race as an opportunity to work on his entire race program. And over the line, so we'll be watching you at the World Championships. Congratulations, Andrew. Tyler Nace was just across the line. Hugh McAdam. And Jasper Liu. Next up is the U23 women's lightweight single. And that's in about 3 minutes. U23 women's lightweight single final underway. Closest, no. U23 women's lightweight single underway. Closest to the camera is Julia Knowles. Lane 2 is Grace D'Souza. Lane 3 is Bridget Kennedy. And lane 4 is Jennifer McIlvaine. We'll start to get a more steady picture as the competitors get closer to the camera boat and the camera boat starts moving. So I apologize for the jumpy picture right now. And at 500 meters, we've got a great race going on. Julia Knowles, closest to us, Grace D'Souza, and on the outside is Jennifer McIlvaine. And Bridget Kennedy is still in contact with these three lead boats. And they are not separated by much of anything at 500 meters. And it appears that Bridget Kennedy is starting to move back into the crowd. Lane 2, Grace D'Souza rowing for Vesper seems to be moving out a little bit here in the second 500. And she is taking Bridget Kennedy with her, as Bridget Kennedy, after what appeared to be a little bit of a slow start, is now getting right back into the mix. Wow, look at Bridget Kennedy get right back into the mix. We didn't see the start, wonder if something happened and she was not able to actually show the speed that she actually has off the start. But whatever the case may be, whether it's a slow start or an incident, she's making up for it. Chasing down our leader, Grace D'Souza, passing Jennifer McIlvaine and Julia Knowles. We'll see how Grace D'Souza performs under pressure. A little bob there, lost her a couple seats. Bridget Kennedy never lost contact with the trailing two boats. But in that second 500, moved through the two trailing boats and is now on even terms with Grace D'Souza. Look at this, stroke for stroke. Well, for a couple of strokes there. Bridget Kennedy is rowing a higher rating, but you know what? I think in her case, it's really paying off for her. Half a boat length now. 12:50 gone by, 7:50 to go. And Bridget Kennedy shows no signs of slowing. In the last 1,000 meters, she has just slowly rowed everybody down. And now it appears that she has open water, maybe, but will most likely have open water by 500 meters to go as we go to the finish tower camera. Bridget Kennedy in the middle with the dark top and the white blades. Next to her on the right is Grace D'Souza. Now, Bridget Kennedy was rowing a higher rating than Grace. I said it seemed to be working for her, and I stand by that. But as we get into the sprint, we'll see if she can jack it up even more and maintain this margin over Grace D'Souza. Getting rode through it's not unsurmountable to come back, but it's hard. When somebody is a boat length behind you and then all of a sudden they're a boat length ahead of you, it is hard to come back. And I think Bridget Kennedy, for whatever was going on up at the start that put her a boat length down on the field. And to the line, it's Bridget Kennedy rowing a crazy race. But that was fantastic. Good for her. Grace D'Souza coming to the line. Jennifer McIlvaine. And rounding out the field will be Julia Knowles. Next up will be the U23 men's lightweight single, and that will be up in about 2 minutes. That's great. That was a crazy race. Good for her. Just past the 500-meter mark, starting to get a clear picture on the men's lightweight single, and it is Austin Trubert on the outside, lane 4, with about a boat length lead over Zachary Hess from New York AC. In the middle is Michael Landau and Campbell Cole. Here we're looking at Zachary Hess, who is now about a boat length down on Austin Trubert. Austin is a PNRA, a Mercer rower, and so this is home water for him. And he's also in the men's lightweight 4 that won the 2017 U23 World Championship trials. So, experienced rower, jumping into the single. He may have been in the single before lots of times, but our information says he was a good sweep rower also. Zachary Hess and open water over Michael Landau, another PNRA Mercer rower, and then Campbell Cole rowing for Vesper in lane 3. Just through the 1,000-meter mark, margins haven't changed a whole lot, with Austin Trubert about a boat length up on his nearest competitor over here in lane 1, Zachary Hesse. $12.50 down. Now a little more overlap as Zachary Hesse is moving up maybe a little bit, because now the margin is 3/4 of a boat length, and it looks like soon to only be a half a boat length. So those two are battling it out as we will go to the finish line camera. So it is a lane 1 on the far right hand side, and then a lane 4. So I'm sorry, on either side of the course are our 2 leaders. With them spread so far apart, it's going to be very difficult to see who's ahead and who's moving until they get pretty close to the line. Zachary Hesse was on the move, but whether he was able to maintain that through the third 500 and keep moving, we'll find out here shortly. They have a few more strokes and they'll be into the 250 meter to go buoys, the red ones. Even now, it's really hard to say who is ahead. They seem to enter the red buoys at about the same time. Both sprinting like crazy, but it appears that Zachary has moved ahead. And as they come to the line, Zachary Hess by a boat length over Austin Trubert. Michael Landau in third and Campbell Cole in fourth. And that was the U23 men's lightweight single final. Up next, the last race of the day, the U23 men's lightweight pair final. And that starts in about 3 minutes, and we'll get to that as soon as the camera launch gets into position. The last race of these trials, the U23 men's lightweight pair, is underway. There is another set of trials in August, about a month from now, and we'll bring you the finals of those races. In this race, we have in lane 1 Bowlby and Bowlby brothers. In lane 2, Meeker and Hutchins. And in lane 3, we have Smith and Damjanovic. Now, the Bowlby brothers have been here before. They've been to trials before as high school students rowing in the U23 trials. Alex rows at Penn, as do both Justin Meeker and Nicholas Hutchins, who are in lane 2. They're both lightweights at Penn. On the outside, Luke Smith and Alexander Demjanovic both finished their sophomore year at Colgate. And it looks like the Colgate pair with about half to 3/4 of a boat length on the rest of the field. Rowing very nicely in that pair. They are now opening up the margin to about a boat length over Meeker and Hutchins. But on the inside here, lane one, it's Roderick and Alex Bolby. And they are starting to move into at least Alex's teammates. The other pin are rowers. And here in this second 500, right at the 1,000 now, they have moved past Meeker and Hutchins. Now there's still a boat length of open water, ooh, maybe 2 boat lengths of open water behind the pair from Colgate, Luke Smith and Alexander Demjanovic. And they look very nice out in front here. Very comfortable in that pair. Very difficult boat to row. And it would appear they are rowing without a rudder, which is excellent because now they have to match each other and not rely on the rudder to go straight, but rely on matching their power and their application. And we'll scan back here to see, and there is the Bolby pair looking over to see where their competitors are. They have a lot of real estate to make up with 750 meters to go. Meeker and Hutchins not able to match the speed of Bolby and Bolby or our 2 leaders from Colgate. So we are in the last 500 meters. Luke Smith and Alexander Demjanovic being coached by their collegiate coach, Khalid Sanad. And at this point, they look like they're in pretty good shape. It'd be a pretty huge ask for Bolby and Bolby to be able to catch them. And we're going to go to the finish tower. Closest to us, the pair from Colgate. Bolby and Bolby jacking it up. Rates going up, looking over. They've made up a whole lot of distance, but they would have to make up a whole lot more to come out ahead in this race. All right, congratulations to Luke Smith and Alexander Demjanovic. We'll be watching you at the U23 Worlds. Meeker and Hutchins across the line. And that is it for us at these trials, the U23 Para, U19, and Senior Trials 1. We hope you've enjoyed it. Take care. Bye-bye.